Hey guys, it's Rio. Welcome back to my channel. If you've never been here before, my name's Rio and I talk about ways that you can improve your life and ways that we can improve the world. Today I'm going to be talking about some issues with the world, and these are issues about the situation that's unfolding and protests that are happening around the world. So if you're interested in that, keep watching. I really wish that I was in London or France right now, because I'm in Colorado, where they say that America is like the land of the free, home of the brave, but I'm starting to see that that's not really as true as I wanted to believe, and places like London and France are actually protesting this kind of stuff a lot more than we are. So we need to step up our game and start having big rallies on these things, because our rights are being eroded by the day, more and more. And if you want to hear more about my commentary, I have a blog where I talk a lot more in depth, and you can find that blog in the description below. Let's jump into it. First of all, I wanted to mention that Google and DARPA have paired up to create a new, which is basically like this tiny little pill that you take, and it turns your body into like an authenticator. So you can like walk up to your phone and just like unlock it. Well, I guess you can already do that. You can walk up to your car and unlock it just by touching it. I guess you can already do that too, actually. But basically, she explains it better in the video, but your whole body's kind of changed by just taking this one pill. And the scariest part to me is that they have a tattoo that they put on your skin with this pill that you take, so that you can be recognized by the government. And with just a scan of this tattoo, your whole information can be transmitted to whoever is scanning you. All your personal information, probably your medical history, what's happening in your body, what the kind of things that you've done in your life, just like any and all information about you is shared when you get this tattoo on your skin. And they actually came out with a new video on this, and it's mind-blowing to me, because since I was a kid I heard stories about like Mark of the Beast, but I never actually believed that people would do this, and it turns out they are, and they're excited about it. So that's scary. As many of you probably know, they're rolling out more and more restrictions on what you can do without having. You can't go to a concert in some places. Pretty soon here you won't be able to like go out to a restaurant or go get a cup of coffee or go to a movie theater with your friends and have a normal social life. And the craziest thing about it is that it's not just one they want you to get, guys. It's like every month, basically. The way that this is rolling out with all the that keep popping up, they want you so controlled that anytime they tell you to go get it, no matter what it is, you go get it. And you don't even have to know what's in it. And they don't have to be liable for any injuries you get. They don't have to have long-term safety testing for it. They're totally protected under the laws that they've already passed. So we have to ask ourselves, is this the kind of world we want to live in? One where you can't go get a cup of coffee if you haven't had an experimental that's actually been giving people tremors. A lot of you probably already know this, but there's a chance that someone doesn't. There are many people who have been experiencing tremors, seizures, blood clots, something called anaphylactic shock, which I didn't know until recently, and all kinds of weird side effects, and one that people tend to ignore, but which is really very significant, is just basic flu-like symptoms. And we brush this off because they tell us that that's normal. That means it's working. I don't think that this should be considered normal. I don't think that you should inject something into your arm and then be horribly sick for the next few days and think that that's totally okay. There are some ingredients in there in a lot of the vaccines that are just disgusting, and why would you want that in your body? Like aborted fetal cells? So I'm a believer that there are people trying to do satanic things on the population of the planet, and this is one of them. Pumping us full of organ tissues and blood cells, weird tissues from other animals, and they just slip these things into very sneakily. Of course, if you really wanted to know what was in them, you could research, but most people don't. And that's the craziest part, is that most people actually don't care. Either they don't care or they have blind trust. And what are we gonna do about it? I heard recently that the number, I don't know if this is the most recent number, it could be higher at this point, but the number of deaths caused from the so far are up to like 75,000 or something. Fact check me on that, because I'm not actually sure, because I tried getting into the, which not enough people do, to see just how many cases there have been of people suffering side effects and deaths. No one is doing this, except we're leaving it up to the experts or other people, but that's not wise, you guys. So head on over to that reporting website. Moving on to the protests. There are protests in France, in the UK, in London. On Saturday, there was a huge protest. Thousands of protesters gathered, and it's crazy because these protests are being totally ignored or underreported by the mainstream media. Oh, and the mainstream media is brushing them off as like crazy to represent the minority of these countries, when really these protests sometimes have hundreds of thousands of people, I think. A ton of people. Just look at the footage. You'll be like, holy, it's a lot of people getting out there and actively opposing the restrictions. These things are unconstitutional, and quite frankly, it doesn't matter how many people are on our side, because we know that we're right. We know that it's unconstitutional to even ask for someone's medical history, let alone say they can't go to an event. That's crazy. Another thing that I wanted to talk about was, if you guys think that it's over when you get the first, you are wrong. It's kind of like people just, letting it slide. Well, we'll let it slide this one time. We'll get just one injection, it can't hurt, just so that they leave us alone. And I think that's a really passive mindset to have. It's kind of like if you're dancing at a club and a creepy guy starts, hitting on you, and you just kind of smile and brush it off like, like, oh yeah, this is fun. And you don't want to be rude, you don't want a confrontation. You don't want him to be offended. So you just kind of like slowly let him get closer. Eventually he asks you for his number and you're like, oh, it can't hurt. You give him your number. And then next thing you know, he's following you home and like knocking on your door demanding to be let in. They're literally doing that. They're coming to people's doors demanding to be let in so that they can inquire about your status and shove an injection in your arm, which to me is scarier than having some guy from the club knocking at my door, because at least he's not the government tracking me. But my point is, the more you let these things slide, little things matter, little boundaries matter, because what you let people get away with shows what you're willing to put up with. And if you're not aligned in yourself and you don't have strong boundaries, you're not willing to say no to even the little things, then chances are you're willing to let the bigger things slide. It's time to stand up and fight. How do kids build their immune systems? If they're confined to one small space their whole life that's totally sterile, and they don't have access to the natural world and to fresh air and, bacteria and all of that, their bodies don't function right. Their microbiome is like barren. I really don't believe that cutting off ourselves from the environment is gonna keep us from getting sick. When I was like 8 years old, I was playing down in Mexico with my family, and they would always, get mad at me because I was like jumping in the gutters barefoot, playing with trash and like coconuts and stuff, and I never got sick. Everyone else in my family got sick except me. And to this day, I'm extremely healthy, and I'm pointing that out because I really think that it's not about how many germs you're exposed to. It is about how healthy you keep your body. It's about, are you breathing fresh air? Are you constantly clearing toxins that you are accumulating from the air and from the food that you eat? Are you clearing them out through fasting and other things, like you can do enemas? Are you getting your food directly from the earth? Are you growing it yourself? Are you eating too much meat and fried foods and sugar and processed foods? That's the big one. Get rid of processed foods. Drink plenty of water. Do research into natural cures, because they really do not want you to know about them, because once you discover natural cures, being healthy, it's totally intuitive. All you do, grow a garden, you harvest fresh local food, and you eat it. That's it. That's the secret to health. Right there. And they try to make it into this big complicated thing, but that's really it. Have a garden and eat your food. I don't believe that wearing masks will protect you from anything, and in fact, it'll probably make you a lot worse. Start clearing out your body, get rid of those heavy metals and parasites and toxins, and just let people be free human beings. The world will be such a beautiful place. I can't imagine how beautiful it would be. And this is the kind of stuff that they write history books about. So I really want you guys to stay awake and informed. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. And don't forget to look at my YouTube, because I'm not putting this on YouTube. I would be banned so fast.